Welcome everybody to this week's edition of Valpo Football Weekly, sponsored by Regional Federal Credit Union. Happy you're hanging out with us. I'm Brandon Vickery, glad to be joined by the head coach of the Valpo football team, Landon Fox, as we talk about this past week's performance against Dayton and look ahead to a trip to San Diego coming up this week. And coach, 299 rushing yards this week. It was Valpo's most in 7 years. What led to the strong rushing attack this week?
Well, we wanted to be physical up front, and our offensive line did a very nice job with that. And so it's a credit to them and what they were able to do. And we found some plays that we felt worked and kind of stuck to them, and kept running them until we felt like, hey, they had to adjust to stop it, and we're able to get the ground game going, and which really helped us, obviously, as the game went along, and be able to keep their offense off the field, which is a big help to our defense because their offense is really good.
Let's talk more about that O-line. Cody Boxrucker credited as well after the game on Saturday. What led to the strong performance on the line this week?
Yeah, just trying to simplify things. That was a big thing I would talk to our offensive staff about, is just keep it simple, know where they're supposed to go, who they're supposed to block, and allow them to play fast. And they played fast downhill, and Jack Jarnigan and Sam Vass both had outstanding games. Everybody played well, but those were the two guys that were just physical up front. And then you add Cody Boxrucker, a physical back, and all of a sudden, even if he's getting hit 2 yards off the line of scrimmage, he's able still to push the pile 4, 5, 6 yards, and that allowed us to have some success until Bowman you could hit a seam and get a little more than that.
Chris Duncan had an outstanding game on the ground. He had Valpo's longest touchdown rush since 1995. Had the best game by any Valpo player in terms of rushing yards in a long time as well. What does he bring to the table in terms of his multifacetedness, and what does that do to your offense?
Yeah, that was a point of emphasis to make sure that, hey, when Chris is in there, he has to have the ability to run the football. And he's a very good athlete, good speed, and obviously he showed that by breaking off the 74-yard run. But we need him to carry the football some for us. When you run the quarterback, you're +1 in terms of their ability to tackle, and so we wanted him to run the ball, and that was a huge difference maker in this game.
One difference-making play that got you back in the game within a score in the second half was the 95-yard kickoff return by Ali Reese. Ali leads the conference in all-purpose yards. What does he bring to the table? Yeah,
he's a really good football player, and it's first and foremost is very important to him. He wants his football team to be really good, and he expects himself to be the best version of himself he can be each and every day, and that's what he brings to the table. But I credit our kicking game. If you watch us, we're continuing to get better and in all facets of the kicking game. And we missed a short field goal. Can't do that. And next kick mentality. Don't worry about that one. But we are getting better in just all areas, not just a return man or a punt returner or kick returner, but all facets.
One area that you didn't see was the punter punting the ball on Saturday. You went for it on 5 fourth downs. Maybe what dictated the aggressive play calling in the game?
Yeah, I think our ability, we need to score touchdowns, and we had it in the red zone a number of times, and that was the difference in the game. Their ability to go to the red zone, I think they were 5 for 5 in the red zone, and we were 2 for 4. And so you're trying to score touchdowns, and I think for the most part, easy calls in terms of, hey, let's go for it and put some pressure on their defense to get a stop. And right there, 28-21 with a couple of possessions to tie the ball game. And I saw improvement from our football team, and if you look back, you don't like to look back at last season, but if you do look back in terms of where our football team was relative to this year, we have a chance to win the football game in the fourth quarter, and that's what we talk about the guys all the time, is give ourselves a chance to win the game.
Let's look ahead. Another tough test this week. San Diego's the opponent. They have a quarterback who's among the national leaders in a number of categories, and they have a team that rarely loses in PFL play. What do you have to do to be competitive against San Diego this week?
San Diego, physical football team, and schematically they do a really good job, and it just seems, and this is a credit to them, they lose their PFL two-time player of the year at quarterback, and another guy steps in and he's doing the same thing. So credit to them in their scheme. But very solid on both sides of the ball, schematically very sound, not overly complicated defensively. Offensively, they'll give you some things, but just making them earn it. Don't give up big plays, and do the best you can to try to cover up some of their playmakers, but they got multiple ones, just kind of like we saw this week.
Game kicks off at 2 o'clock in San Diego. That's 4 o'clock Central Time. There will be a video feed available for all the coverage and all the latest in Valpo football. Check out valpoathletics.com. For the head coach Landon Fox, this is Brandon Vickery. We'll talk to you again next week on Valpo Football Weekly.